Okay.
No good. No good.
All right. Well, that was our weather talk here. Now back
Just
to our
in it.
regularly scheduled movie, which is Terror Creatures from
Terror
the
creatures
Grave,
from the grave.
starring Barbara Steele, whose birthday was a couple of days ago, so that's why I picked the movie. So,
Yeah.
this isn't one of her best, but she's okay,
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
okay as a
She's good in it. She's a
as
good
a
act. You know what it is? She's one of those actresses that no matter what she's in,
she has yeah
you like watching it because
she
you
has a
like watching
face. She
her.
has a
Yeah.
yeah. She like watching her.
That
Yeah,
distinctive
exactly.
look. Yeah.
Yeah. She's about the only person. I mean, the main guy. What was his name? Albert, the lawyer. Was his name Albert, the lawyer guy? Well, that's Walter Brandy.
Walter Brandy. Yeah.
Was he
Who's
Albert?
apparently in a lot of movies and stuff, but he's just not well known in.
He produced
I
movies.
think
Produced
it's.
movies like The Vampire and the Ballerina and Playgirls and
Oh.
the Vampires and a few
Cool.
others. I don't think he was involved in the production of this, but he was. He did produce movies and starred in them too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. It doesn't say.
he gets called. Well, before he gets called, I believe that first scene in the movie was added to the movie where the guy gets trampled by the horse and you see his
Yeah.
eyeball.
You see this guy drinking alone in a bar, I guess, and then you see this like hand. There's frosted glass on the window and the door, and you see this hand sort of like scraping its nails against the glass, making that screeching noise. He gets all panicked and freaked. He runs. Gets his coat and he runs out, and then you see him running through his street. He goes to his stable. He's trying to untie his horse, and his horse starts freaking out, and it ends up kicking him in the face. And then you see this like real close up of the bloody face with the eyes sticking
That
out
was
and all
not
that stuff.
apparently that scene or whatever maybe the gore wasn't in the original movie. That was added by the American director, the Italian director Massimo Pupi or Poopy, whatever his name was. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll find it in a second. Massimo Pupilo. I don't
yeah,
know.
Pupilo, yeah.
Is it Pupilo? Yeah.
Domenico Massimo Pupilo.
He disavowed this movie, even though he did like three other horror movies in like 64, 65.
Yeah.
Bloody Pit of Horror and Lady Morgan's Vengeance, I think was the other one. Anyway, he didn't mind. The guy who added the scenes was a guy named Ralph Zucker, who was involved with some other Italian co-production. He said, "Yeah, you go ahead and take credit for this movie. I don't want it." So, okay, fine, Massimo Pupilo. Anyway, so that happens, and then you see a
Yeah.
scene where a lawyer, Walter Brandy, is going to a. He's been not
Well,
he's
he's
going to the
packing
village
up.
for a estate law, the estate of a guy who's
Right.
deceased.
Right. So you see him driving as the credits. He's driving in the country, and he comes to this big mansion house with castle, whatever the hell it is. And he's knocking on the door.
Yeah, he's a lawyer for the guy's will. That's right. Yeah.
He has a yeah. So he meets the maid Louise,
Oh, okay.
and then
Can I just do a non sequitur here? Because at the
sure.
beginning of the movie, when he goes into the castle, I saw it. I've seen this more than once in these Gothic movies. What's with the small doors?
I don't know.
Was it that
Oh,
people were really little back then?
I think yeah, but I also think they had bigger doors so they could move like large furniture in or have
But everybody's coming
uh
into this little tiny door. They got to duck their heads in.
yeah.
I'm thinking, were the people really tiny back in the
It's
1800s or
it's
1700s?
either that or they had it small for protection in case an army tried to or somebody was trying
Maybe.
to
This isn't the
because
first
yeah
movie I've
some
seen this in.
yeah, and in fact I've seen in some
This was in movies that we've done
American
before, like
movies.
Castle of Terror or Castle of Living Dead.
Yeah.
They both had the little door.
So it was trying to. I think it still had big things in, but then they have the small door, and in fact, sometimes they even have one of those little tiny things instead of a peephole. They have these little doors you look through. Up which you just see the person's eyes and maybe part of their nose.
Yeah. It's weird.
So
But
yeah, so I think that was
so the
to
so the little door is to prevent like armies to come in or whatever.
I guess so, or
I want to look it up.
but
Not right now. But I'm going to look it up, and maybe if I
yeah,
find out the reason, I'll add it to the comment section because
there you go. But I
it's just
mean,
making me
if
wonder what's the
if
deal.
if you've looked at some like colonial times, or if you looked at some like bedding and furniture and stuff, it's like how tall were these people? Like 5'5", 5'6", and I think that was, I mean, a lot of people they were like 5'5", 5'6".
I mean,
They were that small.
I guess so. You know, because it's
Yeah,
just like I've seen like in those in the movies, even women have to duck to get in, and I'm like, what
yeah,
the heck is this all about?
yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. And like I said, I'm going to research it afterwards. I thought maybe you knew,
All right,
but okay, whatever. Anyway, back to the movie. Brother Brandy goes to the house. He's the lawyer for the deceased will, and he finds out that the guy died a year ago.
right. Yeah, and it's in the guy's handwriting, the dead guy's handwriting, and he's like, "Can you come to the castle to have me draw up a will?" And then the maid brings him to. Well, first he meets the daughter of the guy,
Corinne,
and then he meets
Barbara Steele.
Barbara Steele. He gives him the letter, and they're like, "I don't know, my husband's been dead a year. I don't know how this
Steele
happened to you."
Steele is the wife. The Corinne is the daughter.
This the second wife.
Second wife. Second wife.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
so then
The
it's a
trophy
raining and
wife.
stormy night, and he's like, "Oh, maybe it's a joke or weirdo, whatever." So they're at dinner, and they're talking about the husband and stuff, and how he was into some weird stuff, and he did experiments on
The occult.
the occult and the plague. Apparently, there was a plague there, and all the people, a lot of people died, and some were buried on the grounds of the castle and such.
Yeah.
And, how I don't know what experiments he was doing, but he was
I think he was doing
definitely
experiments. He wanted to. I think part of the later on in the movie, it's not easy to understand movie because a lot of these
right.
movies either have complicated script or something is lost in translation,
Yeah,
or there's so much talking that if you don't really sit there intently, like listening to everything they said,
yeah,
you'll miss something. There's a lot of talking. This is a talky movie or whatever. I think the guy. I got an impression that toward later in the movie, the guy was trying to communicate with the dead plague victims. I think that's
yeah,
obvious towards the end of the movie, but he was into the
something like
occult.
that, man.
And you find out later this is a revenge movie, but that's a whole different story.
So he's, they say, well, you're gonna have to stay for supper and stay the night because I think something happened to his. Oh, yeah, he goes out to drive and he can't. His car's uh,
Car dies, right?
damaged. Yeah, there's an owl stuck in the engine.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
Like, okay. So the daughter and Barbara Steele just opened the house a couple of days earlier because they're living somewhere else because it's going to be the 1 year anniversary when the husband
Right,
died by accident, so they say, and
right,
they're going to in turn they're going to dig him up from the being buried in the ground and put him in a mausoleum.
right.
So
You also
then,
you also meet the butler, Alan Collins, who is like the guy with the.
yeah,
He's been in a lot of these movies. I think his
yeah,
name is Luigi. I can't remember what his name. Luigi something. Alan. He's like the
yeah,
Italian Peter Lorre. Anyway, so you meet him early on. He doesn't say much. He just looks sinister. And Walter Brandy even mentioned something about
yeah. Luciano
Pignatelli or something like that, or
Pigozzi.
Pigozzi. Okay. And then
So he,
there's a scene with mummified hands there too, which are like
yeah, that's and he apparently in this village, some of the plague victims or people who had the plague, they would purposely go out and infect the villages because they were evil.
yeah,
And I guess he dug these plague victims up
and
and
cut their hands off.
they cut their hands off and stuff. And as soon as you see them, you're like, oh yeah, there's something. they're gonna move or something later on in the movie.
Was
It's like,
there a reference that because I'm again I got a little today was a distracting day. Was there some kind of reference that the villa might have been an old plague hospital in the story? Because I wrote that down
it
here.
it might have been, yeah, because it's one of those big things, and I guess, it was big enough to house
He was
some
a
people.
doctor, Doctor
Yeah,
Geronimus or something.
yeah,
Geronimus
Geronimus Hoff,
Hoff or
Hoff,
whatever. Hoff,
Hoff,
Hoff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
So he's staying the night. Then yeah, there is a scene where there's a painting they look at and how all these people died. I think the painting is the house up above, like on a hill, and then underneath is the village, and then
hmm.
people, cemetery below that. So anyway, he's talking to the daughter. She's convinced not only is the house haunted, but her dad's still around, coming after her. The Barbara Steele is like, no, don't be silly. You're being a goofy kid. So he's because it's late, he's going to stay the night. So he stays in Paul Alf's old room, and he's looking around and he finds his recordings that he did of his study of the
Whatever the
um,
plague, whatever it was.
yeah, whatever. So and then he's listening to it, and I don't remember much of what it said. It was just kind of, whatever. But I think that's where you hear that that he was doing experiments with plague victims and trying to get talk to them, because he was also trying to do talk to the plague dead. Now this is supposed to take place.
Well, this place it's not modern times, but they had cars, so
Yeah, so it takes place in about the 15, oh no, the 19 early 1900s.
or I mean,
But
it looks like
the
it seemed to me like it took. He had a car though. I mean, that car wasn't
Yeah, he
like
had
an
a
old
car.
wasn't like a Model T or anything like that.
Right.
So,
Yes.
but they
So,
were
and I think
wearing kind of. I think it took place in modern times. I don't know. I mean,
somewhat modern, but in the past, like, I
in the
mean,
50s. Let's just say the 50s,
yeah,
maybe
okay. But the plague victims, I think, were
100 years earlier or more.
yeah, at least. So as he's getting ready for bed, and the that's when he first sees Kurt, the weirdo valet, butler, groundskeeper, whatever the hell he is. And then the daughter comes in, and she's telling him. This is where she's telling him about. He used to be a hospital for plague victims, and they
There you
all
go.
went in, but no one went out alive. Some were buried underground. So that's when he starts looking around and experimenting, and looking at the doctor's old tapes and books and stuff.
I think
And
the doctors record player, whatever it was,
not
talked
the
about
doctor, the lawyer. He's the lawyer. Yeah, it's
they talked about the
they're like
living dead or whatever
yeah,
because
they're
he was an
wax
occultist
cylinders.
too. He was an occultist.
Yeah. So anyway, you hear this creaking noise, like a cart with wheels, and then you see these ruts being dragged in the dirt, but there's no cart, and then it's showing the
I
cart.
wrote down here that the gramophone talks about the living dead summoned by Dr. Geronimus, and they were the plague victims. So I think he was trying to
Yeah,
summon living dead to like living dead
yeah,
plague victims. It's hard to figure out this movie sometimes.
yeah,
There's a lot of yapping, but he was into some weird, occultism or
yeah,
something
weird,
like that.
goofy stuff.
Yeah.
So he's in this. He's as he's listening to them, he hears this weird tune, and he looks out a window and he sees this girl sitting by this fountain singing a song and holding flowers. So he goes running down to look for her, and he can't find her. He finds the flowers, and then he goes back. And then what's her name? The daughter's getting undressed, and He
No,
hears
no,
a
no, no,
noise.
no, 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 no. No, that's later on. This is the blonde. Okay, I wrote down. Brandy, and a guy go to the village with Corinne, and because his car's broken, don't you remember they go to the village on a carriage, and that's where like Corinne and Brandy are sitting by a river, and she sees a boat and she freaks out, thinking
Yeah, but
that's her.
this is before this. He's getting ready for bed and he's still looking around the thing. She's in her room getting undressed to go to bed, and she turns around and
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
she
it,
says
that's
she
it.
sees her father, and he goes
Yeah,
in and he's looking, and it's like, well, there's no one there. And she's like, and Barbara Steele is like, oh, you're just being a child, you're overwrought, whatever.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah. So then it's the next day, and you find out his car isn't working because there's an owl in the engine.
yeah, yeah. That's at this point. Yeah, so they have to go. They go to the village, and
This is where he meets the doctor,
and first they find when they get to the village, they go to don't they go to
pharmacist.
a pharmacist, and they find him dead from the
He's
plague.
Yeah, he's dead, and his face is also burned from acid that had,
Was it
I guess, he
acid, not
went.
the plague? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't make clear because the acid on his face also looked like when people had the
Yeah,
plague
that's what I'm saying.
when they would
Yeah,
show that. So it maybe they were trying to throw you and
maybe.
stuff. So anyway, the doctor it doesn't believe he doesn't believe any of this stuff. It's like they're all superstitious, and he knew the guy, Geronimus, and that he died by accident and stuff. So then the doctor, well, the doctor says, I'm going, if you want to lift into town, come with me, but I have a horse and buggy. So he goes, yeah, that's all right. So he's going to leave, and then the daughter, she's like, oh, can I go with you? Because I need to I would need to do something in town with her. So they get in the horse and buggy, and they're riding along, and he has to make a stop.
At the
So
pharmacist.
was that when
Yeah,
they
yeah, he has to make a stop at the
discovered
village
the?
at the pharmacist, and that's when they discover the dead pharmacist behind
Yes.
the desk.
So anyway, while he's going to look for that, she's the lawyer and the
Corinne.
daughter go by a lake,
Right,
Corinne,
right, right.
and they're looking around. She was telling him how he liked to come here to fish and stuff. And suddenly she turns around, and again she sees something. And he goes, "Oh, that's my father!" And she screams and she runs after him, and
And it's just an
she
empty
falls
boat.
down. Yeah, it's an empty boat, but the oar was
Yeah, yeah,
sticking out of
yeah.
the water and was dripping water. She said, see the water on the oar? That oil was just recently put in there." And of course, you know, Kovac, the lawyer, doesn't believe her. It's like, you're imagining things. So
So
they
that
go visit,
so then they have to take her to a house to get her clothes changed, and that's where they visit the guy in the wheelchair.
right. And he's, apparently he was one of the friends of Geronimus and was
Quote
there
unquote friends.
when the accident happened.
Yeah.
And, they were talking about the letter, and the guy in the wheelchair goes, let me see the letter. And he looks at it and goes, yeah, it looks like it. And he wheels over to his desk and he goes, this is a letter I received from Geronimus with his wax stamp on it. And he's like, oh, the stamps are exactly the same. So it's like, yeah, the letter sent to the lawyer was apparently from
Geronimus.
Geronimus. So now you're thinking, all right, is Geronimus really dead?
Or somebody pretending to be
Or is,
Geronimus,
you're right,
or
or somebody pretending, or what's going on? So the guy gets all freaky and panicked and stuff.
and the next day is the anniversary of the Geronimus's death, so
Right.
they leave.
So
And
then and I think after that, that's when they go to the apothecary and
yeah,
find the dead pharmacist. So then they go to some Hall of Records guy,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, and he's the doctor's filling out the death certificate. He goes, "Oh, I need form XYZ." So the record keeper comes, he brings him the forms. Doctor goes, "Oh, these are already filled out. How did you know?" He goes, "Well, it stands to reason because all of these four or five guys who were with Geronimus, they died mysteriously. And apparently, one of the guy who died in the beginning, who got his face trampled by his horse, that's one of
That's one of
What was one of
Geronimus's
the
people.
Geronimo's friends? Yeah. So he
Yeah.
says, "Oh, of the five people who are alive, oh, three are dead."
Yeah. So now you're
And
thinking there's a body count. There's his friends
yeah,
are getting killed or whatever,
yeah.
supposed friends.
And so you're like, okay, like you said, oh, is this a revenge or what's going on, or is somebody pretending to be him or whatever? So he gives the lawyer a list with all with the five people who signed the accident report, I guess it is.
Right,
And
right.
it says, yeah, these three are dead, these two are alive. And he goes, oh, okay, so well, the one name, that's the guy we just visited, and the other name, I can't quite read it, you know. Oh, and also the letter was addressed to Kovac's partner, but because he was away, Kovac came instead because it sounded urgent. So he's not the original lawyer who was supposed to.
Right, right. Because
Um,
he took the other guy wasn't available, so he went and went over there on his own. Walter
right,
Brandy did.
right.
Right.
So now,
So around this time you get some kind of obligatory scene with Barbara Steele in the bath, the bubble
taking a
bath,
bath.
getting some kind
Uh-huh.
of sexy stuff or whatever, and then find out she was an actress and he was a second wife, and then the daughter talks about that maybe he's looking for revenge on his friends because he dabbled in the occult or whatever.
Hmm.
And then I think it's the scene where Walter Brandy's in his room and the record turns on the record player to see if he can hear more about the doctor. And that's when that little water song comes on.
Ah, right, right, right. Yeah, that's it.
Telling and that has something to do at the end too. And then that's when the
Right.
water is going to save you and blah blah blah. And there's a girl and he looks out and there's a little girl or young woman
Sitting by the water. And,
by the water or whatever.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's kind of getting weirder and weirder. You don't know what the heck is
yeah.
going on.
So then you see the guy who was in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
He's
that's
looking
it.
around. He's realizing the the see the day it's the day that it's the anniversary of the guy who
Yeah, the
died.
eye of it die.
He
Yeah.
and he's getting all freaky and nervous, so he wheels over to his wall where there are two swords hanging on the wall. And oh, and every time, a lot of times, you keep hearing this
You can go ghostly
cart.
voice. Oh, heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
voices, and you also hear the squeaky wheel of a cart. So what he does is he wheels himself over to the wall and takes out a sword he has there, one of the swords, and he sort of wedges it into the drawer of a dresser he has so that it's the blade is sticking out, and then he backs up to the other end of the room, and then he wheels himself forward really fast, and he impales himself on the sword to kill himself.
Okay, I read that, and that was an added scene in the original version of it. Uh, the original Pupilo version of it, he
Right.
hung himself. He didn't do the sword thing. Apparently, that
Ah.
that was added for more, death, whatever, by the American Ralph Zucker or whatever. So there
Got
you
it.
go.
So as after he kills himself, you hear the squeaky wheel of the. That's supposed to be the death cart that they're dragging off the dead plague victims. So you see him, leaning over dead in his wheelchair, leaning against the dresser, and then you see this weird blotchy hand. I don't know if it's decomposition or it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plague or whatever. And he's sort of like grabbing at the guy's back and then slowly it pulls away.
And
So
you
it's
see
creepy.
and you see a little gore there too. They put in a little.
Yeah. So you're like, all right, well that seems cool.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So then, Brandy, the lawyer, and the inspector go to the house where the wheelchair guy died, and they're like, I think they're kind of like, well, what's going on here? And then, then
Right.
they then they decide to exhume his grave, right? They try to dig
Well,
Geronimus up.
it's the anniversary,
It's the
and
anniversary, right?
in his will he stipulated that he
He wanted to be
be
moved, yeah.
moved to the mausoleum. So Kurt, the widow groundskeeper, digs him up, and then they move the big slab aside that's covering the grave, and they find the grave empty. So now you're like, okay, is Geronimus really dead? and he's the one doing all this stuff, freaking people out, or is somebody else like Barbara Steele trying to freak out the daughter? You don't
Yeah.
really know, but everybody's shocked and surprised.
And then there's that, I forgot what his name, Thomas. I don't know if Thomas was his name. The guy, one of the friends goes into the house and thinks he sees. I think he sees Geronimus or hears his voice, and he sees like his ring or whatever. And then like,
That's that's the lawyer
is that
who's
one of the, is that the original?
the
That's the main
that's
lawyer.
yeah,
Corvac, is
that's
that
the lawyer.
Corvac? No,
No, what's the lawyer's name?
this is very confusing.
Uh, yeah, yeah, Morgan.
That's Morgan. Okay.
Yeah, Morgan, who's the senior partner to Kovac, the lawyer. Uh, what's his name again?
It's what?
Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandy.
So he's walking around looking, and he goes into, I guess it's a study or something, and he hears a voice talking to him, saying something like, I knew you'd come or whatever. And you can sort of see the person sitting in the chair, and he goes in and looks, and he freaks out and yells, and it's like, oh my God, it's Geronimus.
This movie is mostly about ghosts, by the way.
Yeah.
You don't
So
really see much, but
they
no.
hear him. So as he goes in and he looks, and he gets shocked by seeing the dead guy in the chair. Uh, Kovac and the doctor come in, and he's coming out of the room, and they catch him, and he's like passing out, and he's going, "Oh, he looked right at me." So then the lawyer goes in, and he's the only thing that's on the chair is a cat.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, what's going on? So then the doctor gives the the lawyer, what the hell's the lawyer's name again? Morgan, gives Morgan a shot to calm him down, and he's, it's just some dialogue
And
here
then,
and
and then you
there.
find out that Morgan and Steele were lovers.
Not yet. What you do see is the next scene. You see the maid and
Oh,
the
that's right. The maid
daughter.
runs out into the.
Yeah, she's like, I can't. This
Yeah,
it's
that's
too
right.
creepy and weird here. I
Yeah,
gotta get out. And the daughter's like, are you sure? You can stay here. No, no, I'm out. I'm gone. So
yeah.
then she starts.
She just runs through
Um,
the woods and hears voices and stuff.
yeah.
And
So then the daughter's crying and weeping, and Kovac comes to comfort her, and she's telling him about all the crap that's going on, and you know, it, it's typical scene. But then it follows um, the maid Louise. She's walking around. It's all windy and creepy and weird. And then and again throughout, sometimes you hear weird voices,
you hear like
like
supposedly
almost
the
like a
guy's
whisper.
voice or whatever. Yeah.
And then you also hear the weird squeaky wheels of the cart and stuff. So it's like, all right, obviously something's going to happen to her.
Yeah.
So let me see my notes.
But yeah, but you find out later that Steele and Morgan were lovers, and they have like
Right,
a little sex scene there or whatever, just to spice things
right,
up again. And then what was it? Next scene is Corinne and Walter Brandy go to the attic, and Steele's getting worried too that she's getting scared of Geronimus, that he's
right,
gonna come back.
right.
So
Well,
Corinne goes to
well,
the
she's
crypt
really
too
good.
inside the villa. There's a crypt there too.
Yeah, there's a crypt in the house. So you had the scene of Louise running and she's looking around. It's almost like she's being chased by something weird and creepy.
Yeah,
And then yeah, then you have the scene between Morgan and Barbara Steele. That's when you find out they're lovers. And it's like, oh, something else is going on there. She's like, oh, you haven't spoken to me for years. Oh, I had to because we didn't want to get, you know, accused or caught or whatever. And then they have the soapy, sloppy love scene,
Yeah, right,
which
right, right.
wasn't,
It
you know.
wasn't
So
explicit,
yeah,
but it was just to get Barbara Steele in another love scene or whatever, to get her like naked or whatever. You don't see anything much, but whatever.
right. Yeah. So then we're in, and the lawyer in the attic. What the hell are they looking for? I forget.
I don't know. They're just looking around for to see if they can find remnants of Geronimus. And then it cuts after they leave the attic. It cuts. I think it cuts to a scene where Alan Collins tries to warn her, to leave before it's too late because of the impending deadline when he's coming back.
Right.
And then there was a scene where Collins uh, doesn't he brings the body of Geronimus and he
Yeah.
says I embalmed you.
Yeah. So you had the attic scene.
Yeah.
Then you had the another scene with Barbara Steele and
That
Morgan talking,
yeah.
and he's like, going on about the letter, and they're all getting weird and freaked out. And now you have Morgan, Kovac, and Corinne. They're in the crypt, and oh no, it was some kind of crypt, but it's where he apparently did his
Did his
weird
occultism
occult
or
stuff.
whatever. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, and then you see it empty and it's cobwebs and stuff. And you hear like whispers, creepy noises.
And then Alan Collins brings the body in there and he says
That's right.
I embalmed you.
Yeah. So like a secret panel opens up and he goes, "Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
embalmed
yeah.
you," and
This is very
he
convoluted.
laid, yeah, he lays him on the crypt table. Then he takes the signet ring off him. He throws it in the fire and it bursts up in flames or whatever. So it's almost like you're expecting, okay, that's when Kurt says, I did everything you asked me to do, master, and stuff. So then, your revenge will be complete. So then he comes out of the crypt and he's all covered in sores.
Which
And
means
the doctors,
which means he has the plague. He's
yeah, which happened really quickly. So then the doctor's like, oh my God, he's got the plague. And again, they show a close up of the blisters from the plague, and it looks like what happened to the pharmacist, on
yeah,
his face.
yeah.
So then they're like, oh, Kurt's saying something, and then he falls down dead, and
And
then
then you get some scenes of the hands moving, and then
right,
graves start opening because it's obvious this was a night where the plague ghosts come
right,
out and raise hell.
yeah, and then you also see a shot of a heart beating in
Yeah. And you see, like,
glass.
out of the crypt, you don't see anything except, like, you see the dirt moving. Like, these are invisible, like, living dead. This might be a real early zombie movies. I remember that scene.
Yeah,
You just saw the sand moving.
I thought you also saw a hand come
A
out,
hand moving. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you saw
and
the
then you
hands
see
moving in the.
yeah, and then you see like the dirt of like an invisible
Yeah, that's what I'm
death,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah, death cart and stuff. So then it's like, all right, the ghosts are coming, and
Then you get the flashback.
yeah, yeah. Kurtz points at the mirror, and this is where it all happened. And in the mirror, you see a flashback to five guys.
And Steele
Um,
and Morgan, too.
yes, uh, um,
It was more than five. It was the five guys and Steele and Morgan. He accuses each one of the guys of like you're an embezzler, you're this, you're that,
right,
and then he points at
because
Steele and Morgan and he goes, "I know what you two were doing."
they all signed a petition to get him out of the village
Yes.
because of he was dabbling in the occult. So it's like all the people, like the one guy is the guy who's in a wheelchair. There's another guy. He was um,
Oh
the
gosh, I
guy
know.
you saw who was killed at the beginning. There's the pharmacist,
Yeah.
and there's Morgan and Barbara. So you see those people, and then Morgan kills him.
Yeah, he goes
You see
behind his
him
back and
fall down
kills him.
dead,
Yeah. Right.
and then the mirror suddenly cracks, and you hear
The voice.
Zechariah's voice condemning them to death, and he's like, it's time for my revenge and stuff. And then Barbara Steele goes running around. She's trying to escape, And then she comes back in the room and she's all covered in sores.
And she looks at herself and she goes, "Oh, my
Oh, my
face!"
face, my face.
And she ends up
Yeah,
dying like at by the
a harp.
harpsichord. Yeah.
So, um,
So they want to get the heck out of there.
yeah. So the doctor. Well, the only ones who is left is the doctor. The
Walter Brandy and Corinne. Everybody else is
yeah,
dead. It's just the
and
three.
yeah. It's just the three of them. So they're looking, trying to get out, and the clock's chiming, and as they're escaping, the doctor,
You,
Kovac, the lawyer, he goes running off to. He says, "Now get Corinne out of here." So he goes running.
they
Uh,
just run out, and they're
yeah,
getting
they
chased by
yeah,
invisible plague guys. It seems
yeah,
like.
and then so he goes into he sees something in an alcove, and he goes in. And it turns out it's the maid Louise, and she's got like scratch
Yeah,
marks on her
yeah, that's right.
face
They
and
found her.
blisters
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
right. Yeah.
So they go running, and they're out, and they're out in the courtyard. They see the empty graves that were open, and it's thunder and lightning, and they're all like, "Oh, oh, we got to get out of here." It's and
The one of the living dead guys gets the doctor,
yeah, so he dies of the
but
plague.
then it starts raining, and the water theme comes into play, where it was like the water will heal you, or the water will save you, or whatever. Because apparently the water was contaminated too
Yeah.
by the plague guys or
So
whatever.
yeah, so uh, the doctor sends Corrine to run off, and Kovac he's trying to get out too, and then you see like he's you hear the noises, so then you see like the shadow of a hand go up, trying to give him the plague, and then it starts raining, and then the shadow slowly moves back, and then Kovac finds Corrine, and they start kissing as it's pouring rain. And they're like, "Oh, the clean water! It will help us and cure us and save us." And they go walking off to the rainy night
That
together.
that
Oh,
scene where like he's talking to her in the rain, when he was talking, you could see the how cold it was because you could see the.
yeah, because you
Oh
see their
man, it's
breath.
like getting soaked in this freezing weather.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, hey, thanks a lot, pal.
Yeah. So the end.
And it's a very convoluted movie. It's a revenge
It is,
movie. It's
and
not,
and from the title, you really expect to see something.
and you don't see anything. It's
You don't
invisible
see it
ghosts and voices
except
and
a hand, a goofy hand. And the funniest thing well, it's like funny, but the oddest thing I noticed in the ending credits said inspired
by
by
Poe. Yeah, and yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe. Like,
Which one?
really?
Which story?
Yeah.
That was a
I
thing
guess.
back then. Remember those Edgar Allan Poe movies that Corman did were pretty
Yeah.
popular. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and it's I guess like premature burial and
yeah, House of Usher, Pit and the
House
Pendulum.
of Usher.
Tomb
Yeah.
of Lygia, all that stuff was around. This movie's 65, so it's towards the end of the cycle, but you
Yeah.
know, still. Castle of Blood, the one that she did a little bit earlier, that was also inspired by Poe because Poe was a character in the movie, so that was that. That's a way better movie than this, but
Yeah.
this is okay. I mean, you get to see Barbara Steele being evil, and you get to see her like sexy, and but she's not like a villainess or she's almost like one of the characters. She's not like a main character or anything. She is a main character, but she's not. Walter Brandy has a lot of scenes. Corinne has a lot of scenes. She's one of the cast. She's it's not really a what I feel to be a starring role or anything like
Right.
that, but it was okay. They had to add the gore to this movie. There wasn't even any gore,
Yeah.
So I don't know what they were thinking when they did this movie. There's no, though you don't see any monsters. You see like you hear voices. You see ghosts and walking through the dirt. You see graves that are
Yeah.
open. So it was kind of like uh,
Yeah.
it had atmosphere
Yeah. A lot of atmosphere. You could probably have easily put this on TV without cutting
easily.
out stuff.
This was an
But
84-minute print. The version that was on television, from what I remember, and when I had an old Sinister Cinema VHS was 80 minutes, so they cut like 4 minutes out. There is that scene where Corinne is drying off from being in the
Uh,
water. That wasn't in. I don't think that was in the short version. That's kind of like a semi-nude scene or whatever, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, a
I
little
don't know. I don't know.
titillating.
Yeah, I don't know how much they cut out of Seal's bathtub scene, but I have seen pictures like from the set, and you see her kind of more naked, but they did it pretty. They did it pretty. You don't see too much or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. But
even,
again, if in '65, even that was like very
but
risque.
Italians, they didn't care. They showed a
Well,
lot more
yeah, they're a
than.
little more. Yeah, European seems to have a lot more of a relaxed attitude towards violence and
Well,
sex
the Japanese too.
movies.
Apparently, they did versions for
Yeah,
Japan that were even gorier. America was pretty
yeah,
conservative. Spain was pretty conservative.
yeah.
Uh, but these movies, like, they pushed. That's why when a kid, I was impressed by them because even though I saw them on TV, not this movie, but like say Castle of Terror, Crypt of the Living Dead, or whatever, Black Sunday or Castle of Blood, they were a little spicier than the American
Mm,
movies were. They were they the sex was more, the violence was more, even though it was edited, and they had that weird. It was pure gothic ness because you had the castles and you had the little front doors and you had the weird
yeah,
looking
yeah.
people and you had all that stuff and you had Barbara Steele camping it up and going crazy and yeah, so these movies were definitely different from what American fare was. And if you saw it in the theater, I don't know, maybe you
Yeah,
saw a
you
little bit
definitely.
more. I don't know.
Yeah,
In Europe, you saw a lot more. Like in Europe, in Castle Blood, even though it's available now here, you saw like one of the ghosts in the movie that gets married in a wedding night. She takes her clothes off. You see her topless. And you go, well,
mm,
that wasn't in the version that I saw. But over there, it was like, hey,
yeah.
check it out. They didn't care,
Yeah, they
basically.
didn't care. Yeah. Now the Italian name for this movie is Five Graves for a Medium.
Yeah.
Okay, very
Yeah,
descriptive.
yeah, Terror Creatures from the Grave. Okay, it's a cooler title, but it's like, I don't know, if it's a great title. It's an effective title. I don't remember seeing. I know it played
Yeah,
in theaters. I don't remember seeing this on TV. May have played like late nights somewhere, but I don't remember ever seeing it. So, when I got it
mm,
in the 80s, I was like, oh, it's another Barbara Steele movie. Even though I saw it back then, I was never really truly that impressed by it. But hey, it's worth checking out. Just
yeah.
for her being in it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this movie. If you're a Barbara Steele fan, you should watch it. If you're a
Yeah,
gothic horror fan, it's okay.
yeah.
It's not one of the best.
It's
It's not one of
not
the
the
best, but
best,
it's
but
okay.
yeah, it's okay. Now, according to Wikipedia, the something weird video
Right.
had a shorter version, 77 minutes and 30
What
seconds,
about the
but
Sinister?
it included a nude scene of the one who played Corrine.
Yeah, it's probably that scene where she's drying up and you see her naked from the back and a little
Yeah,
bit of the side or what. It's probably that. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Maybe there's more. I don't know. These movies got so cut up back then. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It says there's the home video releases. There's several different versions. Sinister Cinema is 4 minutes longer, right, because of extra dialogue scenes, but the nude scene isn't included. So it's
This one
just
is
like
from
it's a
Severin
different.
Films. So
Yeah,
this one is 84 minutes. So I'm thinking this was the longest print they could find. I don't know.
probably. Yeah.
I don't
I'd be
know.
curious. Yeah, it says the runtime is 85 minutes. I'd be interested to see it in the original Italian to see what how different it may or may not be.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how much more or less these movies got cut up so much, and they shot so many different like scenes for different
yeah,
countries,
yeah, because yeah, in Europe, it's like if you send a movie to Spain or Britain, you
different
had to
version
worry
of
about
it.
different. That you send something to Germany or Italy,
It's okay to
you had to
send,
worry about the. Yeah, it's okay to.
and
And then
and
if you,
and then the Americans had added scenes to it. So
yeah, yeah. So some you could watch like 4 or 5 versions of a movie because some of them went to drive-in, some of them went to TVs,
yeah,
and
they
even
have
later
different
on,
titles too. Some of them
yeah,
did,
later,
not this one necessarily, but some of them did. Yeah.
later on when they went to cable and video, you had even you know
More variety
even
of.
more variety and stuff, and it gets hard sometimes with some of these
Well,
movies.
it completely, because these movies weren't like these were just, B movies. They weren't treated as like A movies, so they were cut
Right.
up, they were taken, they were changed, they were dubbed, they were everything was done to them. So
Yeah.
you never know which one you're going to get. Every once in a while, somebody unearths a version with an extra scene, and maybe they
Yeah.
add it as a bonus or something. So I don't know. This is probably a pretty complete version, and it looks way better than the Sinister Cinema version of it. So I think this was released as Severin or somebody put out a Blu-ray of I think it was Nightmare Castle, but this one and a couple of this one, Castle of Blood, I forget what the other movie was added as bonus features. So I believe this is
Uh,
one of those, but it's available on its own too. It's worth checking out if you're a Gothic fan or a Steele fan. But
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not
it's got a great mood.
mood, yeah, total mood. It's all about mood.
Yeah. So and just with the addition of seeing a couple of zombies meander about,
Yeah,
and
or a dead body walking around or
yeah,
something.
something, or even seeing like something crawl out of the grave where you don't have to.
Like yeah, something. There's a lot of
Yeah.
yapping in the middle of this
Yeah.
movie. A lot of a lot of confusing storylines, but that's typical, for some of these movies. Of course, you're lost in translation. But anyway, whatever. We
Yeah.
talked about this already, before in the show, and yeah, check it out. Get the Blu-ray. I mean, if you get the Nightmare Castle Blu-ray from Severin, you're gonna get their best deal. You're gonna get this and three other movies. Not that I'm promoting
There you go.
Severin Films because whatever.
Mm.
Anyway, no, that's it. That's it. That's our Barbara Steele movie for this time.
So this time, yeah.
So we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another classic. But in the meantime, Roddy,
In the meantime, watch more B movies.